Let's go to Kenya, where President William Ruto has officially assumed office as the fifth president of the Republic of Kenya, hitting the ground running after being sworn in on Tuesday at Kasarani Stadium. After the ceremony, President Ruto proceeded to the State House to host a luncheon and also signed an executive order appointing 4 Court of Appeal judges and another for 2 environment and land court judges. President Ruto said he is committed to having a judiciary that is adequately resourced to serve all Kenyans justly and impartially to safeguard democracy. He later had a series of meetings with international dignitaries pledging the strengthening of economic ties. And joining me now virtually from Kenya is a writing fellow of the African Liberty, Jamlik Kogi. Good to have you join us, Jamlik.
Thank you for having me.
I see you're smiling. You seem to be excited over the fact that you now have a new president. We saw a lot of people at the stadium, and we understand that people were already arriving at that stadium at 5 a.m. for that ceremony. He won, and that's President Ruto won just by a slim margin, and then you see the turnout of people for that event. Is this a widely accepted president? Does that show that he's a widely accepted president?
Well, as per our constitution, he's the winner. He was declared winner as much as there was some dispute at the court. The Supreme Court went on to affirm his win. So we are comfortable that he's our new president and we wish him the very best. But it is important, I mentioned at this point, he won with about 7.1 million votes against his closest rival, Raila Odinga, with 6.9, whereas about 8 million Kenyans did not vote for either of the 2 candidates. So he really needs to think around how to bring on board these 8 million Kenyans who did not participate in the just concluded election.
And Kenya is perhaps one of the most, if not the most stable country in the East Africa region. It is also the richest country, but it has its own challenges. For example, the rising cost of living, which every other country has to deal with. But there's also the issue of drought that is now the country is now dealing with, issues around unemployment. How do you think that Ruto would address these particular challenges?
Well, as you have put it, it's indeed true that globally, every other nation is struggling economically following the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, the Ukraine war scenario, where many countries used to import products such as oil and also wheat from Ukraine. So the way I foresee it in Kenya, the president-elect, our now incumbent president, Dr. Ruto, he had mentioned in his manifesto, and he had hinted that he would continue with the Big Four agenda that the Jubilee administration had. And one of the items under the Big Four agenda was to ensure that there is food security. One of the ways he may sort the issue of food insecurity in the country is to revive project known as Galana Kulalu and ensure some of the dams that have not been completed are completed with speed, because the rain is quite, the natural rainfall is becoming quite unreliable, so that the farmers can plant enough food and we can have enough without necessarily relying on other countries for food security.
And what challenges do you think he might face? Because people think that the political dynasty of the Kenyattas and the Odingas might be a challenge for him if they continue to be his opponents. But what sort of challenges do you think he might face?
Well, he may not really face quite a big challenge with the dynasties, because the so-called dynasties, because that is one of his campaign promise, or what really put him to power, because he was bringing in the inspiration that you don't have to come from X family or a certain region to rise to power. You can be, as our very own Lupita Nyong'o, the Oscar award winner, mentioned, that no matter who you are or where you come from, your dreams are valid. So he may not be trapped, so to speak, by the so-called dynasties, because he seems to be a self-made man. But one of the challenges that he really has to overcome, and he has been somehow going around it, is the element of corruption. He has been going around it, but as from his yesterday's speech, he hinted that he is going to strengthen various institutions. So if the team that he'll nominate and appoint, the cabinet secretaries, the principal secretaries, to really push his agenda, it would be very inspiring for Kenyans to see that they are executing their mandate without embezzling or stealing public funds. And if they do so, then they face law and their cases are expedited. That would be really an inspiration. But I don't see him facing quite a challenge as far as running this country.
All right. We also see that he has hit the ground running by appointing appeal court judges. We'll see how he continues to deal with issues and challenges in your country. Thank you so much for talking to us. Writing Fellow of the African Liberty in Kenya, Jamnik Kugi.
Thank you for having me.